Hello, everyone. Um, on this beautiful, beautiful Good Friday. Yes, Queen Poetry 73 here. I just thought I'd drop in and give you all a little word, Um, today. I do not have a poetry for this one, but I am going to speak, and I entitled this one, Have You Been Raised from the Dead? Yes, I am reminded of the story of Lazarus in John chapter 11, verse 38. And for the sake of time, I'll paraphrase a little of that story. It is a story of Lazarus and his two sisters, which is Mary and Martha. Lazarus had been in the tomb all of 4 days, and Jesus. Was away at the time. And when they decided, we got to get to Jesus, we got to find something, because if he was here, this wouldn't have happened. This is our Martha's word. Mary's words. If he was here, this would not have happened. Yes. So, yeah, Lazarus. Lazarus was dead in the tomb for 4 days. And so was Jesus in the tomb for 3 days. And both had been raised. Now, I'm going to focus a little more on Lazarus at this point, and then I'll come back and speak of Jesus. But Lazarus, who had been dead for 4 days, who had called a stench. And he was raised from the dead while in Bethany. As I stated before, the story unfolds of two sisters, Mary and Martha, who cried out to Jesus, Mary more so. If you were here, he would not have died. And Jesus, who is quiet and who quiets the anxiety in our lives, was and is the answer to Mary and Martha's anxiety. And then he is the answer to our anxiety as well. And he called out, Lazarus. And Lazarus, who heard the call, who came out in grave's clothing with a stench, but yet was alive. So my question to you all today is, have you been raised from the dead? Ask yourself, what are you willing to die to in order to live and to be free? You can't afford to play in the tomb, okay? Jesus and Lazarus came out of the tomb, so we must come out of the tomb, or else it is detrimental to our souls if we don't. And when I'm speaking of the tomb, this is metaphorically. I'm speaking of when you hear him call your name while you are dead in your state, while you are in your grave's clothing. That is the clothing of money. That is the clothing of entertainment. That is the clothing of sex. That is the clothing of the materialistic things that we put before him, that has caused us to be bound, to be in grave's clothing, to be dead in a tomb, because you're not free. Okay? Because whatever you become a master to, you're a slave to it. And if you're a slave to sin, it's because you enjoy it. Or if you're a slave to entertainment, or you're a slave to money, or you are a slave to manipulation, or you're a slave to, again, as I stated, social media. All these things has us bound, has us wrapped, has us in a stench in grave's clothing, yet we lie in a tomb. Okay, we're in grave's clothing because these are the sins, these are the spirits that control us, that have us wrapped and bound to where we can't hear him call our name, so that we can come out of the tomb just as Lazarus did. Okay, so this is where we are today. Okay, and I'm proud to sit here before you today on what we consider Good Friday and a resurrection weekend. Yes. So my question again to you is, what are you willing to die to in order to live to be free? Okay? And I'm not talking about a physical death. I'm talking about a spiritual death now. What are you willing to die to in order to live, to be free? Because to die is to live. Yes, that is the word of God. Yes. So, as Paul has stated, Paul says, I die daily. Paul wasn't talking about a physical death. Paul was talking about spiritually dying to the sins that was beset before him, that were ever before him. He died daily to them. Because I'm here to tell you, what you don't deal with now will deal with you in the end. Okay? And you will be in the tomb for forever until you decide to accept the calling to come out. It's okay to have fame. It's okay to have entertainment. It's okay to have money. It's okay to have materialistic things, but don't let it have you. This is when you become wrapped in grave's clothing. Okay? This is when you are bound to it. It controls you. You don't control it. You are a slave to whatever you master. That is the word of God. Okay? So this is what I'm saying today for you all. My challenge, my charge, you guys. I'm reminded of the word kenosis. Listen to Alessio. Shouts out to Bishop Earl Carter. Kenosis is the emptying of yourself. Are you willing to empty yourself? Are you willing to accept the call to come up out of the tomb? Okay, yet Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. Jesus was dead for 3 days, but Jesus told him that on the third day that I will rise. The death, the burial, and the resurrection of Christ. Okay, this is where we are. Okay, he was ascended. Yeah. Lazarus answered the call and came out, wrapped in grave's clothing with a stench from 4 days of being in a tomb. It is the same spirit. It is the same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead. It's the same spirit that raised Lazarus from the dead. It is the same spirit that will raise you from the dead. God is the same today, yesterday, and forevermore. He is the same. He said, I'll change if not. His word doesn't return unto him void. Yes. So my question to you is, when he comes, and you're not ready, what will your excuse be? What will your excuse be? Will you run up to him and fall to his feet as Mary did and say, oh, if you was here, he wouldn't have died? What is your excuse going to be? What is your excuse going to be? I'm reminded, and I'm going to say this, that Jesus, he didn't just die on the cross, okay? He died so that we wouldn't have to, okay? He doesn't want us to be bound in sin and locked and chained and wrapped in grave's clothing. He wants us to be free. He said, I come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. That is the word of God. Okay? So I'm reminded today of the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Christ. And I extend this to you all that don't know, all that don't believe. You know, if you don't believe in something, you better find something to believe in. But I know what I believe in. And I believe in Jesus the Christ, the Son of the living God. Yes. Yes. So my charge and challenge to you today is, find out, what grave's clothing are you wrapped in? And will you hear when he calls you out of the tomb? Will you answer? Okay, again, I am Queen Poetry 73. Yes, on this Good Friday. Again, be empowered, be uplifted, be inspired, be encouraged. Most of all, self-love. Why? Because he loved you first. And until next time, this is my message on, have you been raised from the dead? Again, I love you guys. Have a blessed day. Peace. Be safe. And I'm out. Bye-bye.